Hello, my name is Chris Kiak. I'm the Vice President of ConXCAD with ConXtech. In this video, I'm going to give you a training and demonstrate the functionality for drawing graphics and dimensions using the RememberMe tool here within Tekla Structures. I'm going to begin by actually starting with the most powerful tool, which is going to be our dimension grid functionality. Let's say that I'm here in a plan view or an isometric view of the model, and I want to quickly check the grid array dimensions that I've set here inside of my dialog box. But I want to visually see what those dimensions and spacings are, as well as the elevations here directly in the model interface. What I can do is I just go to the drop down, and then I say dimension grid. I then pick that grid, and then those dimensions are then going to be applied. Notice that the elevations as well as the grid dimensions are shown here in the model. The grid dimension locations are based on the extension that you have set here on the left and the bottom areas here for your grids. If you want to spread those dimension locations out a little bit further away from the structure, just increase these distances and modify your grid, then reapply the dimensions. If at any time you would like to remove these dimensions from that particular view that you've saved them with, and in this case I saved it here with my isometric 3D view because it's selected in the RememberMe dialog box. What you can do is you just come up here to delete graphics, and then you also need to go to delete marks because the actual dimension labels themselves are using notes or mark functionality, and then the lines are just the graphics or line work functionality. Alright, so there's the grids, and then the next functionality is I'll show you how you can just do individual dimensions. So let's select the dimension option here. We can zoom in and we're prompted to just pick any two points here in the model, and so there you can see I've got my 7-foot dimension, and it places that dimension line exactly between the points that you pick. Now let's say that you want to display that dimension in metric. You can come up here to the options menu and uncheck imperial, and then if I just reload this here, it's going to redraw that dimension once the view loads, and then it's going to show it here in metric millimeters. So again, don't forget that before you draw any of the dimensions or graphics that you're doing here, make sure that you have the appropriate view selected or RememberMe group that you want to associate those graphics to. I've actually created an adding graphics view here, so let's go ahead and double click on that and zoom into a more detailed area of the model. To draw some lines or boxes here, we can use the other functionality found in the graphics drop-down menu. These graphics are typically used to kind of accentuate or highlight particular areas of interest that are in this particularly saved RememberMe group or view. So let's just go through these one by one. I'll activate the line functionality, and then I'm just prompted to pick 2 points in the model. Any 2 points I pick, that line or that graphic is then displayed. If you're done drawing the lines, you just right-click and interrupt or press escape on your keyboard. Let's do the single arrow functionality. The first point that you select here is always going to be the head of that particular arrow. So we'll just select here, and let's actually go in the opposite direction this time. We'll say snap to free, and there you can see the arrow has been then drawn. And the arrow is always drawn in both directions, so that way no matter what view you're currently in, whether a true 2D plan view or elevation or a 3D view, you can easily see that arrow or that graphic. Now let's go ahead and do a double-sided arrow. We go to the drop down, activate double arrow, and again we just are prompted to pick 2 particular points here in the model, and then we just snap to those, and there we have our arrow drawn. The scale of the arrowheads depends on the distance between the 2 points that you picked. The larger the 2 points, the larger the arrow. The reason for this is that if you're zoomed out to a particularly large area in the model, you may want those arrowheads to be a little bit more prevalent. If you're zoomed tight to a specific area and you're doing a very small leader line or arrow, you want those arrows to be a little bit tighter. The last functionality is the box functionality here. Let's also change the color this time of this particular graphic, and let's switch it to red. I'll then go ahead and activate the box command. Let's say that I want to accentuate or highlight this particular end connection here, and the way this works is if I just pick my first point and then I pick the second point, this is defining the kind of half of the width or the size of the box. So there you can see just a temporary graphics box is then drawn around this area. Using the lines and arrows as well as the box, you can easily focus people to particular areas on the project. So these graphics lines, along with dimensions, make it easy for you to communicate and display critical information to all of the different participants on the project. See the next training video to learn more about the actions and animations that you can do with your different RememberMe groups.